1, straight. Lewis.
Okay, recharge on, Max. Recharge on. We can go next lap. Recharge on.
Lewis Hamilton has just been hit with a massive penalty by the FIA, and it's left the entire Formula One world stunned. What was supposed to be a routine qualifying session at Monaco has now exploded into full-blown controversy after new evidence suddenly leaked behind the scenes. The twist? The FIA had already reviewed the incident, handed out no penalty, and moved on. But everything changed when a confidential set of data and radio logs surfaced, evidence that wasn't part of the original investigation. And now, Hamilton is paying the price. The leak didn't just show a mistake, it exposed something far deeper. According to insiders, the information didn't come from a rival team or an external review. It came from inside Ferrari. Someone from Hamilton's own camp or within the engineering unit appears to have handed over a critical piece of communication that completely flipped the FIA's view of what happened. As a result, the stewards had no choice but to reopen the case and come down hard. This isn't just about one penalty. This leak has opened the door to serious questions inside the paddock about trust, pressure, and whether Ferrari is already starting to crack under the weight of the Hamilton era. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what the leaked evidence showed, how it reached the FIA, and why it might just become the turning point of the entire 2025 season. It all started during qualifying at the famous Masset Corner, one of the fastest and trickiest sections of the Monaco circuit. Lewis Hamilton had just finished a push lap and was told by his race engineer that Max Verstappen was on a cool-down. Based on that call, Hamilton slowed down and began to ease back into the racing line to prepare for another run. But what he didn't know, and what would spark this entire controversy, is that Verstappen was actually on a flying lap coming in at full speed. As Hamilton moved across, Verstappen had to suddenly lift off the throttle to avoid a collision, completely ruining his lap. At the time, most people thought it was a simple case of miscommunication, just bad timing, nothing more than an unfortunate mistake during the chaos of qualifying. But that version of events didn't last long. After the session, someone leaked a piece of onboard footage along with a backup radio channel that hadn't been reviewed in the initial FIA hearing. That footage, paired with the telemetry data, showed that Hamilton had been told Verstappen was slowing down, when in reality, the Red Bull was pushing flat out. The tone of the radio call, the exact timing, and Hamilton's car position all lined up to show that the Ferrari pit wall gave him the wrong message at the worst possible moment. The key detail? That clip and the full radio logs were missing from the original evidence. It was only when this leaked data was handed over, anonymously, that the full picture came together. When the FIA saw what really happened, they reopened the investigation immediately. What was first dismissed as a minor misjudgment was now being treated as a serious incident that interfered with another driver's qualifying. That's when things really began to spiral. Once the leaked footage and data reached the FIA, everything changed. Even though the original investigation had been closed, the stewards decided to reopen the case right in the middle of the Monaco Grand Prix weekend. It caught everyone off guard, especially Ferrari. They thought the matter was settled and had already shifted focus to race day preparations. But after this second review, the FIA made their decision clear. Hamilton would receive a 3-place grid penalty for impeding Verstappen. Just like that, his qualifying result was wiped out, and he was pushed back into the heart of the midfield, the worst possible place to be in Monaco. Ferrari was furious. According to team sources, they felt blindsided. No one had expected the case to be reopened, let alone for new evidence to surface so late. Inside the team garage, tensions were high. They believed they had moved on, only to be dragged back into the spotlight by something that should have been dealt with earlier. Hamilton, on the other hand, was frustrated, but he kept his cool. In media interviews and during private discussions, he reportedly said, "If this data was available, it should have been presented from the start." His words were calm, but the message was clear. The situation was avoidable, and he felt the weight of a mistake that wasn't entirely his. Now, instead of starting near the front where he could fight for the podium, Hamilton is stuck in the middle of the grid. In Monaco, that's almost like a penalty in itself. With narrow streets, tight corners, and almost no overtaking opportunities, starting back in the pack often means your race is over before it even begins. This penalty hasn't just hurt Hamilton's weekend, it's forced Ferrari to rethink their entire strategy. As the story continued to unfold, all eyes turned to the source of the leak, and that's where things got even more uncomfortable for Ferrari. Investigators now believe that the footage and backup communication logs weren't discovered by accident. They were shared deliberately, and the strongest suspicion is that someone from inside Ferrari was responsible. Whether it was a frustrated engineer, a concerned whistleblower, or someone simply fed up with the way things were being handled, the fact remains. This leak came from within. It exposed everything the team had hoped to keep behind closed doors. At the centre of it all is Riccardo Adami, Hamilton's race engineer. He's the one who delivered the incorrect message that set the whole chain of events in motion. Now, he's under intense pressure from both inside and outside the team. According to reports from the paddock, Hamilton is still professional in his approach, but behind the scenes, there are signs that his trust in Ferrari's strategy unit is beginning to wear thin. This wasn't the first mistake, and he knows in Formula One, repeated errors can cost you more than just points. They can derail an entire season. Ferrari team boss Fred Vasseur eventually had no choice but to speak publicly. Standing in front of the media, he said, "This wasn't how we wanted this weekend to go. Mistakes were made, and someone made sure the world saw them." It was a rare moment of honesty from a team that usually keeps things tightly controlled. But with the leak out, the penalty handed down, and the internal cracks starting to show, Ferrari suddenly found themselves not just fighting on the track, but fighting to hold everything together off it as well. Ferrari had spent weeks preparing their Monaco race plan with one key idea in mind. Lewis Hamilton would start near the front, ideally from the second row. This position would have given him a real chance to fight for a podium and help the team score big points. But with the three-place penalty pushing Hamilton back to 7th on the grid, all those carefully made plans suddenly fell apart. Starting from 7th at Monaco is like starting in quicksand. Overtaking is almost impossible on this narrow track, and track position is everything. Now, Ferrari is forced to rethink their entire strategy, and the pressure is on. On the other hand, Charles Leclerc, Hamilton's teammate, benefits from clean air at the front, making his race easier in some ways. But this new situation raises tough questions about the team's priorities. With Hamilton stuck behind, will Ferrari focus all their efforts on supporting Leclerc's chances of winning? Some inside the paddock are already wondering if Hamilton might have to sacrifice his own race to help his teammate. It's a delicate balance, and it could create tension inside the garage. To make matters more complicated, Ferrari must now gamble on things like early pit stops, hoping to undercut rivals before the track gets too crowded. They will also watch closely for safety car chances, which can shake up the order and offer unexpected opportunities. Another possibility is using different tyre strategies between their two drivers to try and gain an advantage. But with every move carrying huge risks, one wrong decision could cost them dearly. What was once a clear path to success has turned into a high-stakes chess match, and Ferrari's future at Monaco now hangs by a thread. Max Verstappen didn't hold back after the incident. He made it clear how frustrated he was, saying things like, "You can't just back into the racing line and ruin my lap. It's Monaco, man." His words showed just how seriously drivers take even the smallest mistakes here, where every second counts. With Hamilton now starting further back, Red Bull finds itself in a stronger position to challenge Ferrari for the win. The tension between these two rivals is heating up once again, and the media is quick to jump on it, calling this clash Hamilton versus Verstappen. Round 2, Monaco edition. Fans are already buzzing, knowing that this battle on the streets of Monaco could define the rest of the season. The whole situation at Monaco has been nothing short of chaos. One simple radio miscue led to secret footage being leaked, which forced the FIA to reverse their original decision and hand Hamilton a penalty. This has not only affected his race, but also sparked serious tension inside Ferrari. Now, the big question everyone is asking is, has Ferrari already lost control of the Hamilton era before it even really got started? As the season moves on, with Monaco's tight streets, bold strategies, and fierce rivalries, we can expect plenty of fireworks on race day. If you're as fired up as we are for what's coming next, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below. Was this leak fair justice or just internal sabotage? We want to hear what you think.